Hey guys, Reginald Duck here. Today I've got probably one of the best decks I've actually featured on my channel, because I'm not saying it's tier 1, but I mean sprites are, but I'm playing it with the Melfi package. They have got a lot of new support recently with the Melfi, Wally and Penny, so I think the deck is actually insane. Maybe not as consistent as the pure Spright deck, but it is really good and really fun. I am playing one proxy because I lent one of my Spright Blues to someone for Euros thinking it was this week, it's next week, so excuse the one proxy. Let's get into it. So for the main deck, I've got 3 copies of Spright Blue, again 2 real, 1 proxy. This card is absolutely insane. If you control level 2 you can summon this from your hand, and then if you can special summon it from your hand. If it's special summoned, then you get to search a Spright monster. So it often searches the Jet, but we do play a few others as well. Really good sort of starter extender. It makes the deck run. It is so good. This isn't a budget deck at all, sorry to say it, but it is completely not budget. Got 3 copies of the Spright Jet. Really good card. Again, if you control level 2 you can summon it, and then this is from hand by the way, and then when it's special summoned you can add a Spright spell or trap, so you can either add the starter or the smashers, so really good. 1 copy of Spright Red, same summoning condition that they all have, and then if your opponent activates a monster effect you can banish another level 2 or rank 2, link 2, whatever, to negate that monster effect, and then if you banish a link or rank 2 then you get to destroy it as well. So really good, helps like protect your plays from a lot of hand traps, especially if you can establish this early on. Lets you play through a lot of hand traps. One Spright Carrot helps you play through the Imperm. Also it's good if you can sort of leave this up in your opponent's turn. So really strong card. Sorry if you can hear that in my background, my hamster's in his wheel. Onto the Melfis, we've got 3 copies of Melfi Wally. This card is insane. So they have the same Melfi requirements as usual. When your opponent summons or targets it for an attack, sort of runs away to the hand and then does something. So this one summons 2 Melfis from the deck. So makes the deck really sticky. Every time they normal summon you get an effect, well every time they summon you get an effect, and that leads to something else. So usually you grab the Puppy and the Catty from deck. So really strong card. I'm so glad this came out. 2 copies of Puppy. So also all the Melfis, if they're in your hand in the end phase, you can just special summon them to your side of the field. So this one, you can return it to the hand when they summon or attack to summon a beast type monster from the deck. Wally summons Melfis. This summons any level 2 or lower beast, I think it is. So you summon out the Calantosa, which then destroys a card. So really cool. 2 copies of Catty. This is your searcher. So when this is returned to the hand, you will get to add usually a Hop Air Squadron or a Melfi Penny. I do play both because they're both good in different ways, and then they both let you synchro in your opponent's turn. Penny synchros with a monster in hand, whereas the other one synchros from field, so both good in different ways, but really cool card. And obviously all the cards you get off these are free because this comes back to your hand rather than going to the graveyard. 1 copy of Melfi Penny. Really good new card. So this one, if you've returned a Catty to your hand this turn, which you've done to search this, then quick effect, you can just use this and essentially a Catty in your hand to synchro for a Melfi, so you can make the level 4 that bounces a guy. Really cool. We are playing the 1 copy of Hop Air Squadron as well. Thought I'd put that next to the Melfi because it's not a Melfi, but it sort of is, So then you've got 3 copies of this. No, 1 copy of this, sorry. It's a quick effect hand trap where you can just reveal it and then immediately after it resolves synchro, usually make an Arc Light or the guy that bounces again. Really cool card. 3 copies of Nimble Beaver. Since this is the beast deck, this is better than Deep Sea Diva. It is also still a water in case you need to summon the swap frog from hand. We are playing the frog package because it's just too good to pass up. So 3 of this. A lot of the times it gets ashed, veiled, impermed. That's fine, it just means they've not stopped any of your later stuff. So really strong. I can also summon from graves, so it gives you a better grind game than the Diva. So 3 copies. 2 Calantosa. I like 2 because it gives you more grind potential. Also, you don't want to draw one and then not be able to get one from the deck off the puppy. So really, really cool. Also, this card looks amazing. Look at that, such a cute artwork. So 2 copies. I find with the Spright deck, you can't brick on level 2s because even if you draw it, you just summon it and you summon a Spright. So that's really, really good. And it's not a hard once per turn, the destruction. So as long as it's summoned by a beast monster, it'll get to destroy and summon. 3 copies of Swap Frog. You can summon this from the deck off the gigantic Spright. Really, I mean, this Toad's going to get banned. It's going to be so sad. I really need to try and shift these before then. But really, really great card. So you can, when you summon it, you can send a frog from deck to grave, and then usually the Ronin Toad in or another Swap Frog. You can return a card you control to the hand of monster to normal summon a frog except Swap Frog. And then also you can discard a water monster to special summon itself from hand. So a lot of effects. All it means is you can spam out Toad as much as you want. So 3 copies of Swap Frog. Let's be careful with those. They're worth more than my house. 1 Ronin Toad in. This, not once per turn, banish a frog from grave, summon itself. So once a Swap Frog's dumped, another copy of Swap Frog and this, then you just banish the second Swap Frog, summon this, make Toad. Really, really good. Got the 1 Dupe Frog because you actually get it for free from the deck off the Toad. In their standby phase, you detach off Toad, summon this. It draws attack, so they can only target this for an attack, which is really strong. And then also, if this card is destroyed, then you get to search a frog, so Swap Frog. Although, that always misses timing. So if you link with it, for example, misses timing. It literally just needs to be Dark Hold or destroyed by battle. But it's still cool to have because it draws the attack, so it stops them beating over like your Herald of Arclight, for example. So really cool. Onto the hand traps. We've got 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. I did have to cut the hand trap lineup down because with playing the Melfi deck as well, there's quite a bit of engine to it. So I'm only playing 6 hand traps and then the 2 sort of in archetype ones, the Penny and the Hop Air. So 3 Ghost Ogre. I'm trying to play a lot of things that destroy stuff. It's good against the, it's not Brave, what's it called, Adventurer token stuff. It's also really good against Spright. You can Ghost Ogre the gigantic Spright, for example. Really cool because you want to try and get the cards off the field, because if they control 2 they can just keep going. So 3 of those. 3 Psyframe Gear Gamma and 1 Driver. This card again, it's all about removing the threat, getting rid of whatever it is. You do play some cards that summon from deck, like Spright Starter, or you play an E-Telly for this as well, because it is also a 2. So if they ash that, you can always Gamma, and then you get another level 2. So that's really good. Don't really know what you do with the driver, but it's there anyway. I guess you could make a link with it, maybe? But yeah, so 3 of this. It's really, really great, especially for protecting your players, making sure they go through. And it is an extender because we do play the E-Telly. You've got 3 Spright Starter. Insanely good. Basically, special summons a Spright from the deck, locks you into link, rank, and level 2s for the rest of the turn, and then it locks just you into that. Sorry, but then you take damage equal to the attack of the monster you summoned. So basically, you want to open blue, summon Jet, search this. But if you don't open well, you can always this into blue, Jet, search the Smashers. So it's basically the same, but you end up with a spell and trap interrupt rather than an extra monster. But really cool. And you have to play 3 obviously. 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. This card's probably going to get limited at some point because it's in pretty much every deck. Literally just a free level 2. That's all it is. Just get a Gamma from deck. You're playing it anyway. You only want to see the 1 because you can only use the 1. The other 2 should be used for this. You don't want to draw them. It's also not once per turn, so if you open 2, it's great. It's just an XYZ for free. Really cool. And then the last card in the main deck is 1 copy of Spright Smashers. If you've already used the starter or drawn the starter or whatever else, or you just don't need any more monsters for your combo, you would just grab the Smashers because you banish a Spright from grave and then banish a level 2 monster or link 2 or rank 2, and then you just banish a card on the field without targeting. So it's basically a Spellbook of Fate in its own way, but it is searchable really easily, and by searching it, it also becomes live essentially. I tend to banish the Spright Starter for it because I can't really see a way of using it back. So really good. that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I've got 2 copies of Joyous Melfis. This card is really good. It can make your guys attack directly, but I rarely use that because it only makes Melfis attack directly. But it can return an XYZ from the field to the extra deck to summon a beast, XYZ that is, to summon beasts from the grave up to the number of materials that XYZ had. So if it's got 2 materials, I can return it and then summon back 2. Or I can return, like for example, Melfi of the Forest and get to summon back 2. You can summon back the Calantosa, which would give you 2 destructions, and it's a quick effect. So really, really strong. I am playing the 2. Playing 1 copy of Melfi of the Forest. It's really important for your combo, but you can put it back off the Joyous Melfis. That's why I'm just playing the 1. So you detach to search a Melfi, which is really, really good. This card is generic, so it can get you into your engine even if you've only opened sprites. And then also, when a Melfi is returned to the hand, this card on a trigger effect can negate a face-up monster. So they, for example, summon Stratos, Chainlink 1, Melfi Catty, Chainlink 2, this Chainlink 3, negate the Stratos. I believe that's how that works. I don't think it negates in a separate chain, but please check with your judge if you're not sure. Really, really great card. Also it has 2k defense, so it is one of the bigger defenders in the deck. Playing the 1 copy of Ronin Raccoon. This card is so good because I find the normal Sprite deck was really struggling to put out lethal damage. It was taking a couple of turns, whereas this, you've got a toad, you get this, and you get a token that's equal to the toad. So that's already 5-4 damage just from those 2. So it really helps close out games. And obviously, so what it does, you detach, summon a token equal, and its attack is equal to the biggest monster on the board. So it's a non-targeting way to just out anything pretty much. You've got a 5k guy, you've got a 5k guy. And then while you control a beast monster, this card can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So that's really useful. Just make sure you don't get stuck with this in attack and then just keep getting attacked. 1 copy of Sky Cavalry. It's kind of good, and it's got 2k. It's good for outing boards. It's really good for making the Zeus because it can't destroy by battle. You crash into it. Main phase 2, you put the Downed on top, and then you put the Zeus on top of that. You've got a 4 material Zeus. Really good for that. Got 2 copies of Gigantic Spright. So if it's overlay, you can use Link 2s as material, as well as obviously the rest to be treated as level 2. You can detach, you can activate the effect, it's not a cost to detach, and then if it resolves you detach to summon a level 2 from deck, but both players can't summon level 2 or higher for the rest of the turn. So you wouldn't be able to get Nibiru, for example, after you've used this. So this is what you get your swap prog from the deck with. Really, really strong card. Also, if it's got a Link Synchro Fusion as a material, then it gets its attack and defense doubled, or just its attack, I'm not sure, so it goes up to 32. Really good for closing out games. You could make it with a Spright Elf, for example. So really, really good. This is the card that gets hand trapped all the time, so try and have a Spright Red up if you can, but really cool, you do play 2. 1 totally awesome. You only need the 1 because the other one, well, it can add itself back off its own effect. So really, really cool. Sets up a lot of negations, summons. This card's getting banned. That's really sad. I hope it doesn't get banned straight away. I do want to play this deck for a bit. So obviously it's an Omni Negate. It steals the card, it negates if it destroys it, and then when this is sent to the graveyard, you can add a water back, so you add a Swap Frog, then you use the Spright Elf, reborn this, and then next time you negate, you just put this back in the extra deck, and then you can make it again with the Swap Frog you just added last turn. So really, really cool. 1 Downed, it's literally just a stepping stone for the Zeus, so you just put this on top of the Sky Cavalry, then you put the Zeus on, gives you an extra material. The Zeus, really, really cool, not even once per turn, so you can just detach 2, send everything except Zeus, quick effect, and then if they do something else you just detach another 2 and do it again. Really, really insane card, really helps a lot of XYZ decks out. 2 copies of Spright Elf. This card is unbelievably broken. I didn't realise it till I started playing this deck. So during either player's main phase, you can reborn a level 2 monster, and then if your opponent controls a monster, you can reborn a Link or rank 2 instead, so it can reborn the Toad basically. Also, cards it points to can't be targeted, so you can use this to point at your Melfis to make sure they can't be targeted with card effects, because that can actually out them, so that's really, really strong. 2 copies of that. It can't be used as link material the turn it's summoned, but I mean, why would you? You get a guy back in your turn, then in their turn, then if it survives your turn again. Broken. 1 Phoenix. It comes up with it being linked to, you can still make it. Depends on if you need to out some really specific floodgates or some other nonsense. Really strong. And then got 1 copy of Arclight. It's like a mini macrocosmos. I think it's hand and deck. You can't send to graveyard, you get banished instead. And then you can tribute this card to Omni Negate. So monster, spell, trap, just negate it by sending this to the grave. We don't play any rituals for this to search, but you can just synchro summon it in your opponent's turn. And then lastly, 1 Merry Melfis. This card is so good. I didn't realise it at first, but so you can synchro this in your opponent's turn. When it's summoned, you can bounce a face-up monster they control, so just another interruption straight away. And then when they summon or attack this card, then you can return this to the extra deck to summon a Melfi from the extra deck. So you summon the, I think it's Melfi of the Forest, the 2k. I'm actually going to go through my combo that I've made just after this, so it'll give you an idea of what you can end on and how many interrupts you can get. So this card is really sort of key for that. So that's it for the extra deck. I'm not going to do a side deck for this because I've not actually took this to an event yet. I don't want to say, oh, it's great against Tyralement, because I've never faced the deck in real life. So I'm going to locals today twice, so hopefully it'll do really well for me, but there's no point building a side deck that I've not tested. So let's just get into the combo. So for this, I'm not going to do loads of combos, I'm just going to sort of show you the main bread and butter one. This is just a way to get to 4 level 2s on field, which is full combo for this deck, but obviously, you know, if you've got more extenders you can do this easy, you don't have to open like the perfect hand, but with this 2-card combo you can get so many interruptions. We're going to assume your opponent doesn't have any hand traps, because that's what your other 3 cards are there to deal with, although this can play around Nibiru to an extent, but you would then need an extra extender. So you activate this and you summon the Gamma from deck, and then because you control level 2, you summon the Spright Blue effect to add the Spright Jet. Summon, because you control another level 2 still, Spright Jet, add the Spright Starter. That's not Starter, sorry, my camera lagged, I was looking through my lens. There we go. So then you activate the starter. You're now locked into level link rank 2s for the rest of the turn, but you summon the Spright Red from deck. So now you can't be Nibiru, you've only summoned 4 times, and this could banish this to negate the Nibiru. So then you're going to overlay these 2 into the Gigantic Sprite. This also plays around Ghost Ogre, for example, on this, but then you would need an extra 2 for this. So you would summon the Gigantic Sprite, use its effect, detaching, because they've not veiled you or whatever, to summon the Swap Frog, which would then send the Ronin Toad in, and then you're going to link these 2 into the Spright Elf effect. You're going to reborn the Swap Frog, effect of Frog, send another Swap Frog. Then you're going to banish the Swap Frog to summon the Ronin Toad in. Overlay these 2 for the Totally Awesome. I'm not sure where you should place this yet. I like putting it where it can't be targeted, but also I would like to have my Melfis protected from targeting. So at the minute I'm just putting this here, but you could put it here if you want to protect your Melfis from targeting. So then you've got these 2 to overlay into the Melfi of the Forest. I'm going to put this out of the way over here. You can still see it though. Detach this to search a Melfi card. So I'm going to search for the Wally. This card is absolutely broken. Then in the end phase of the turn, special summon the Wally. The combo doesn't end here because obviously there is a lot of interaction on this board as well. So I'm going to play it out as if they keep summoning into my Melfis, because I mean that's what the deck does, it sort of punishes people for summoning. So they draw, standby phase, detach. The Ronin, I believe, is correct. to summon from the deck the Dupe Frog. Again, you could put this here to be protected from targeting, but as it is, I'm going to keep this protected for now. And then you're going to their main phase. They normal summon a guy, you Melfi of the Melfi Wally, return to hand, and then if it's something you want to negate, you can chain this onto it to negate that monster effect on the field. Effect of this to summon from deck. You're going to grab a copy of Catty and Puppy. Then, for example, they summon again. You return the Puppy to the hand to summon the Calantosa from deck. So you've now got a destruction, and then they summon again. You use the Catty to search the. Let's go for the Hop Air Squadron this time. And then quick effect. When you want to remove something from the field, you synchro these two using the Hop Air Squadron from hand to summon the Merry Melfis. On its summon, it returns a card to the hand, face up monster, so you bounce the monster, and then they summon again. You bounce this to summon from the extra deck the Joyous Melfis, and then this has a quick effect to bounce a beast type, so to summon one from grave, summon as many as materials it has from grave up to. So you want to destroy it again, you return this to the extra deck to summon out this, and then this, when it's summoned by a beast, which this is, destroys another card, and then you've still got the negate off the Toad, which would add back the Swap Frog, and then you've got the Spright Elf to reborn the Toad if they've got a monster, and then you've got another negate off the Toad, which would then put back the Toad for next turn. So you've had 2 destructions, you've had a return to the hand, you've had 2 negations off the Toad. They can't target you guys that you summon here, they can't attack, and you've negated something off the Melfi of the Forest as well. So that's all off just having having 4 level 2s. You can make that board. So that's really, really strong if they do, play into all their monsters. I mean, if you've got a monster heavy hand, they have to. If you have a spell and trap heavy hand, I mean, you can end on the Spright Carrot, you can end on the Toad, just keep negating stuff. I think this is a really, really strong board. Maybe not as consistent, but definitely more powerful than some of the Spright boards I've seen. So it's really, really cool. You've still got 4 cards in hand. Well, you started out with 2 cards in hand, you've now got 4. You'd have had 7 cards in hand at the end of this turn. You've negated everything, you've stopped everything. I think this deck is really, really fun. You should definitely give it a go. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.